Time for another Chevrolet Sportsnet Central update. Kevin Durant still in net. Our own Chris Forsberg caught up with Brad Stevens and asked him about all the rumors and whether he's happy with the team as it is currently constructed.
There may be a positional need or two that we have to add, and we've got several people we're looking at to do that. We have to add without taking away. You've talked about the depth already and the fact that people have to give, and I think that we are in a good place depth-wise. If we head into the season with this group plus an add or two that, helps us, navigate with a full roster, all the ups and downs from an injury standpoint of the season, I feel really good about what this group can accomplish.
All right, let's deep dive the Celtics' new additions today. Chris Forsberg is here, so is Dan Shaughnessy. Gary Washburn is still out melting in Vegas. I hear how hot it is. I know, I'm sorry. We tossed you some cold water. Okay, so Chris, you talked to Brad Stevens. I'm not going to lie. I listen to that sound and I go, so you're saying
I know,
there's
this is what
a chance.
Like
there's
you
just
listen
like
to every loophole.
There's just like a little bit of like a door. But you, how did you interpret what he told you about Kevin Durant?
I interpret it like you didn't see the start of that exchange where I say to Brad, I didn't want to come right out and say it because he's not going to address Kevin Durant directly. But I said, this is the time of year with rumors. And he goes, do you put much stock in it? And I said, no, because I know a guy who doesn't put much stock in it. And he kind of laughed. And I just think, look, he's not immune to all this. He knows what's going on. He knows we're all talking about it. But he also understands that his roster is in a really good place and that the cost is going to be way too prohibitive. And he kept talking about this need and how he builds teams and everyone pulling the same way. And I think he's found the right mixture and he's added pieces that if they had this roster 3 weeks ago, they are NBA champions. And I think he understands and appreciates that. So even though Trenni sits here and screams every night about them, how they need to go get Kevin Durant, Brad Stevens is a little bit more level-headed and is ready
Listen, in fairness, I think the way the roster is constructed, Dan, and Gary, I want your opinion on this as well. I think that, of course, they can win. But I also think that maybe it's a little professionally negligent to not at least look into, are they making the wrong decision, Dan, if they don't at least think about and see if Brooklyn will listen and try to get Kevin Durant?
It's more interesting for us if they do that. I know that. Of course it would be fun.
But what about for the team?
Well, I think, the price is one thing, and, Chris has alluded to that. I'm not sure that the price that they're going to ask would be worth it. I'm okay to get Durant and give up Jaylen Brown and win next year and then not win 3 years from now when Durant's gone and Jaylen Brown's coming into his stardom over there. I'm okay with that. But they're going to want more than that. And I think that's where you get into the cost. And I'm not okay with it. In this case, you can tell by that answer, Brad is being consistent with the way he has constructed this roster, the way he has added to the roster, and Durant isn't part of that equation, this whole thing we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think basically, who says Brad hasn't made a call on this? Brad's not going to say, hey, I did talk to Sean Marks, and he told me this is what they wanted, and there was no deal. I'm sure the Celtics inquired about Kevin Durant. I can 100% guarantee that. Now, what was Brooklyn asking? I think their asking price at this point has been exorbitant. So that's why they haven't traded Kevin Durant. They want multiple draft picks. They want exactly what Danny got for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce 9 years ago. They want a load of picks. They want an all-star caliber player or two in return. They want to be able to replenish. Remember, Brooklyn hasn't won anything since they've moved to Brooklyn. They have an owner who's hungry to win, so they do not want to reboot and start over and rebuild with a bunch of kids. So they want something significant back for Kevin Durant. I'm sure the price is way too high for Brad Stevens to kind of blow things up and do that, because do you make yourself better defensively with Kevin Durant, or do you just have two premier scorers with Tatum and Durant, and then the rest you got to patchwork? So I think Brad's I think coming off the finals, they have a better chance just to upgrade what they have as opposed to putting all the chips in. Sorry, I'm in Vegas here. I'm going to use a poker reference. Put all their chips in and just go for maybe 1 or 2 years of Durant. Remember, he's 34 in September. The slide could be coming.
What if the price drops? Gary, what if the price drops?
You won't let go.
Trenni, I do think you look into it if the price decreases. But, it could be a chance that we do this all the way until training camp, that they have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant on their roster. Teams are not jumping at this trade, obviously. If not, it would have happened. Obviously, the Miami Heat's going to be interested. There's other teams, Toronto, maybe I've heard New Orleans could be interested. Teams that want to win right now and want a superstar player and maybe a smaller market. The Celtics don't necessarily need that. They have a superstar in Jason Tatum, who needs obviously to improve after the finals. And then they have one who's emerging in Jaylen Brown, and then a bunch of good supporting cast members. So how badly do the Celtics need Kevin Durant to win a championship? That's what the fans, and that's what Brad Stevens has to ask himself.
Gary, I just think you're an A+ addition to this show. And don't worry, Chris Forsberg, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. You want to talk about this with me. So with no Durant deal, at least in near sight, it does look like Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon will be working together in the Celtics backcourt. Stevens says Marcus is excited. Let's see how long that lasts.
Every single guy that I talk to, and I talk to, all of those guys, and Marcus included, within, an hour of the trade, they're all jacked. They're all excited.
My skill set, my playmaking, my ability to play off the ball when guys like Brown and Tatum have the ball, and my ability to read the game, to be able to close games.
Ability to close. Oh, Dan, you made a face.
I love the way this guy talks about himself. It's just, it's like, he looks in the mirror. He sees Jordan looking back at him. No question. It's great. Bring it on.
That does make the Celtics better. Let's be honest. You want a guy who has that confidence, but can also, Chris, back up that confidence with play on the court.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I don't have any problem with a player having irrational confidence if they harness it the right way. So as long as he comes in and buys in, this won't be an issue. But certainly because we can't see it, we don't know how it's going to work, we're left to ponder. And because it's early edition, we take the negative approach that it's going to fall off the rails and that Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon are going to have fist fights. So, it's just what we do around here.
Do you believe in Brogdon, Dan?
Yes, I believe in his talent. I love it. The thing is, he's probably better than some of the guys who'll be playing ahead of him. That could be the issue.
Marcus Smart is good at basketball, people. Why do I feel like I have to come on and just defend. This is why everyone calls me a damn green teamer. So Marcus Smart, with the Celtics starting five last year, had the best net rating among all point guards in the NBA. And that is not all just Marcus Smart. I relent that. It's part of the reason that he has great numbers is he's playing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But he has great chemistry with that group. And now they signed Malcolm Brogdon, who couldn't do anything with an Indiana Pacers team and put up great numbers for a bad team. I do think Malcolm Brogdon is going to help this team, but this idea that he just shows up and should be given the starting job over Marcus Smart is preposterous.
I didn't say that. I just said he's better.
Is he better, Gary? Is he better than Marcus Smart? And to your point, Chris, I would also ask all of you, if Marcus Smart is so great at what he does, why would they need to go out and get another point guard when they already added Derek White at the trade deadline
You saw
last
the finals,
year?
right?
Exactly.
I think Brogdon is more consistent and he's a little bit better. He shot 39%. I'm taking away last year, injury-prone year. He shot 39% from three 2 years ago. He brings a consistent shooter. He can get to the rim. He can finish. He can do a couple of more things Marcus can't do on offense. Defense, he's solid. He's not Marcus defensively, but I think he's a tad bit better, and it all depends on what situations Ime puts them in. Hey, maybe they play on the floor together. Maybe Marcus moves to the two, and then Brogdon runs the point, or maybe Brogdon moves to the two and Marcus runs the point, and maybe everybody's a big happy family. We don't know that. I think they're thinking about how they can work both of them into the equation as opposed to them butting heads. But at this point, yes, it's a good talking point for them to compete, but I do think Brogdon makes them a better team.
What you couldn't see, Gary, was Chris's face.
Cringing.
And it was like a cringe, bitter beer face. Why? Why do you cringe at the idea of both of them on the floor together?
No, I
Brogdon playing
don't.
the point?
It's just funny to me that people have been sitting here for years going like, oh, Marcus Smart can't shoot the ball, and now you all want to move him to the two guard. I think what you want is Malcolm Brogdon, who has said like he wants to play off the ball a little bit more. That's certainly a possibility. So they'll find the right mix. The one thing I will say is, as much as we obsess about how they play the same position, the Celtics are bringing him in because Malcolm Brogdon can defend 1 through 4. He's just as likely to spell Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in minutes, and they'll figure out like different ways to use him. And I do think him and Smart will be on the court a whole bunch. And I don't know if necessarily we need to designate like who's the point guard. It just comes down to when whoever's creating and making the open looks for those players, they got to knock them down. And we'll see which one ends up making more.
All right, great stuff. Gary Washburn, welcome to the team. Thank you very much for joining us. Get inside that air conditioning. All right, one thing is clear after today's presser, Brogdon wants to be associated with winning once again.
I experienced winning at a high level in Milwaukee for my first 3 years. Went to Indiana, had a solid season and then sort of 2 rough seasons. So this is everything I've wanted, to be able to get back to this level. Marcus is one of the biggest winners that we've seen in this league, and I think that's why Boston loves him. I think that's why this organization loves him.
All right, Phil Perry and John Tomase. At this point, I'm probably just going to let these two duke it out. But Phil, you took some exception with Malcolm Brogdon's assessment of what a winner is.
Yeah, I just question his definition. I just wonder, are you allowed to say that you're used to winning at a high level when you haven't won a title? Are you allowed to, in your first line of your description of your new teammate, Marcus Smart, call him one of the biggest winners in the league, or that the league has seen, when he hasn't won a title? I mean, I think it's okay to say that a guy can win, a guy helps a team win, a guy's a good player, and so he is pushing that thing in the right direction for a winning group. That's all well and good. You can't say you're winning at the highest level or you're winning at a high level without a ring. You just can't. I'm sorry, John Tomase. And you can't say Marcus Smart, first line on his Wikipedia page, one of the biggest winners the league has seen. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Phil, you're such a hardo. It's this Boston attitude of, if it's not a title, it doesn't matter. Here are facts. Marcus Smart came into the league, joined a 25-win team, has made the playoffs every year since, 9 years in the league. That's pretty good. He's been to 4 conference finals. He's been to the finals. He contributes to winning. If you want to parse words about how Malcolm Brogdon should describe him as a winner, fine, but I think proven winner, I'm totally fine with that for Marcus Smart, because the Celtics have won a lot more games than the talent on their rosters would suggest for much of his tenure.
John, do me a favor and turn around where you're sitting and look at that word that is literally right behind your head. I want you to do it. I want you to do it so that the people at home know where you are. You're in Boston. The standards are higher here, my friend. You know that as well as anyone. And so it's completely fair for me to say, what are we talking about here? One of the biggest winners the league has seen, when every year of his career that you mentioned, and yes, he's been on some great teams. He's been on some great teams. He's been helped along by some great teams, by the way. I'm not sure he's ever been the driver for any of those teams that you mentioned. But the standard should be high, and for each of those teams, his season has ended with a loss. So I'm sorry, you just can't describe somebody that way. Words have meaning, John, okay? That's how I grew up. That's what I learned as a kid. Words have meaning, and so to me, the question for you is, where is the line? Okay, so it's too much, it's too strong for me to hold them to that championship standard if we're gonna describe someone as a winner. Where is it for you? If you've won one game and you helped your team win that game, do you get to be called a winning player? That's gonna be too little. I understand that. You're a smart human being.
Sure.
So where is the line? Is it a winning?
Really good faith
argument. Well, you tell me.
Phil.
Where's the line?
Game.
Where's the line?
How about a team that is consistently in contention in the conference finals more often than not? I mean, that's basically been Marcus Smart's career for the Celtics. I think that's somebody who's proven they can win at a high level, not the absolute highest level. I think you expect a little too much of Malcolm Brogdon. You come into a new situation, you say nice things about your teammates. So did he take it 1 degree too far for Phil Perry? I guess he'll have to, look in the mirror tonight and decide if he can live with himself. But I think in general, he captures the spirit of it.
It sounds like you're making excuses for him. So it sounds like it might actually be 1 degree too far for you too. But you don't want to lose the argument. So you have to put it on. You have to put it on me. You have to put it on your friend Phil. That's okay. That's okay.
He's a proven winner to me, Phil. That's all I have to say.
So the Orlando Magic era Nick Anderson is also a winner for you. Congratulations. It takes away the meaning of the word if we're just going to give it out to anybody that's won a bunch, that's won a bunch of games but never won a championship. The standards are the standards, especially here in Boston, which is where you're currently sitting, my friend. Let me remind you.
Is this Nuanced Island, by the way?
I think I've said my piece. What's that?
Phil said today that he's alone on Nuanced Island, and I wanted to know if that was his Nuanced Island that we all just visited.
It's actually not that nuanced.